Hi, let's now get ready to make Ciao Maria. This is an exceptional and versatile skirt pattern defined by its classic pleats, which offer creative flexibility. So you can either sew the pleats down, and we'll show you how to do that, and this gives you a more structured look, or you can leave them open for a more flowing silhouette, and we'll show you also how to do that. This skirt has two side pockets and a side zipper. It's easily customizable. You can do any desired length, and you'll see if you watch till the end, you can see all the variations on Ciao Maria. Whether you make it in a cotton or a linen or a lovely lightweight wool, you can make it all year round. Have fun. So we're going to start to prepare our pockets. Take the lighter plain pocket lining fabric, that's the piece with the pocket opening drawn on it, and place the pocket lining piece and the main skirt fabric, that's the pocket bag, right sides facing. Pin around this edge with a 1 centimetre seam allowance and repeat for the other pocket. Now with the reverse side of the printed skirt fabric pocket facing upwards, we're going to overlock around the entire edge of the joined pocket piece. If you don't have an overlock, use a normal zigzag. Now we have our back skirt panel. We're going to start to create the pleats. So we folded it in half to find the central line. And we can see along that line that there are various notches. So we're going to start with the first side pleat by pinning the second notch in place. Then for the central pleat, we're going to pin the third notch to the last notch. And we're going to repeat this same pinning process for the pleat on the other side. And then starting from the top of the waistline, we're going to sew the folds down approximately 2 centimetres, starting with the central pleat, and then we're going to sew down the other two side pleats. So now if you turn the skirt around to the right side, you'll be able to see your 3 pleats that we've just created. Now we need to block the pleats. So we're going to start by the side pleat. We're going to match the notch with the stitching that we've just stitched down of our centre of our pleat, and we're going to pin the layers of fabric into place. So we're pinning along the top edge of the white waistline. Then we'll repeat this for the other side pleat, pinning and matching the notch with the centre of the pleat and pinning in place. And then to finish, we'll finish with the central pleat that we'll then make sure that all the fabric is pinned together, again matching the notch with the central line of the pleat. And when you turn the skirt over, you'll find that the central pleat is now on top of the other 2 pleats. Now we need to stitch our pleats into place, and we're doing that along the waistline with a 0,5 seam allowance. This next section we're showing you is if you want to actually close the pleats down, so you want to stitch them down. This gives you defined pleats that are stitched down to a length of 12 centimetres, and we will be doing this both on the front or the back of the skirt. So now we're showing you on the back part of the skirt where we've blocked our pleats at the waistline, and we've marked with tailor's chalk the position of the line that we need to sew down for blocking of the pleats. So now we're going to do the pleats for the front half. So we've folded our fabric in half to find the centre line, and we've identified the pieces, the notches of the pleats. We've started with the first side pleat where we've pinned the fabric together at the second notch, and we've sewn down approximately 2 centimetres. Then we've brought the next notch with the notch at the end of the fabric right sides together, and we've sewn down approximately 2 centimetres here. We've repeated this securing process at the other end for the remaining pleat. So once we've got everything blocked, we're now going to sew the pleats into place. So we're matching the notches with the centre of the pleat, and we're starting with the lateral pleats first. So we finish by pinning the central pleat, which is always on top of the other 2 pleats. Once we've finished securing and pinning down all of the fabric together and matching the notch with the centre of the pleat for all the 3 pleats, we're going to sew with a 0,5 seam allowance along the waistline edge. So now we have our pockets to attach to the skirt. On the pocket lining piece where you've drawn the pocket opening design, you need to match the drawn line with the notches on the front skirt panel. Pin and sew exactly along the line of the drawing. Then make 2 cuts into the fabric, carefully arriving right up to the stitching at the angle of the pocket opening, but not going as far as the stitching so that you don't damage the line we've just stitched. Then we're going to turn the pocket lining fabric open to the inside and flatten the stitching, pressing preferably with an iron, but we're using our fingers here to press it into place. And we're making sure that the inside lining of the pocket is not showing from the outside. So we're pinning along this edge and we're then going to top stitch along the edge of the pocket opening. Once we've finished top stitching the edge of the pocket opening, we're going to pin the main part of the pocket bag to the skirt. So we're pinning along the side panel of the skirt with the pocket bag and on the top part of the skirt, the waistline edge, so that we can secure our pocket bag in place. Once we've finished pinning, we're going to stitch with a 0,5 seam allowance. Now we're going to overlock the side edges of the skirt. If the fabric frays a lot, then it's also recommended to overlock the waistline edge of the skirt. And then we're going to repeat the overlocking as well for the back part of the skirt, so down the sides and along the waistline of the skirt. On the left-hand side of the front of our skirt, we're now going to measure 15 centimetres down from the waistline, and we're going to place a pin here. This marks the end of the zip opening. From this point, we're going to pin the front and the back skirt panels together, right sides facing, and we're going to pin right down to the bottom of the skirt. On the right-hand side, there's no zip, so we can start pinning the front and the back skirt panels together, starting from the top of the skirt at the waistline and all the way down to the bottom. With the use of a magnetic gauge, we're going to measure our 1 centimetre seam allowance, and then we're going to start to sew along the pinned sides, paying attention around the pocket area. On the left-hand side, we'll start sewing the seam from the point where you've marked it with the pin, and that's the end of the zip opening. So at 15 centimetres, from there onwards, we're going to start to sew our seam and not from the waistline. Now we're going to press open both the side seams of the skirt with an iron, pressing all along the area that we've just sewn. On the side where the zip's going to be, when you get to that point, press back 1 centimetre on both sides of the opening ready for the zip. Now we're going to start to prepare the waistband. So we'll press a lightweight interfacing to the reverse side of the waistband fabric. Now fold the waistband in half at the notch and press the entire waistband well. Now we're going to overlock only along one of the sides of the waistband with our overlocking machine, or otherwise a zigzag stitch along one side of the waistband. Now we need to attach the waistband to our skirt's waistline edge, right sides together, and we're pinning the area that we have not overlocked. We're pinning the other side to the skirt, and we're making sure that all the notches are lining up, and then we will then sew along this pinned area with a 1 centimetre seam allowance. Now we're going to attach the zip to the skirt. So we are folding at the notch, where the notch is, we're folding our waistband in half, and we're marking down with some tailor's chalk. That is where our zip will start to be pinned to the skirt, but we're pinning slightly above the line of the tailor's chalk. And we're pinning along the first side with the right side of the fabric facing up. We're lining up our zip and we're pinning the zipper tape to our skirt. You could also use, instead of the pins, you could use a basting tape, or you could use a long stitch and hand stitch first the zip into place. We're just using pins. The important part is when you start to do the zip on the other side of the skirt, that it is also in line with the zip you've just pinned on the first side. So at the waistband area, make sure that it is also in line with the marking of the tailor's chalk, and that it is in line with the zip, with the seam that we've sewn on the waistband. So that all matches up, and continue to pin your zip in place. We've used a zip with visible teeth because this is the look we wanted. You could also use an invisible zip, and don't worry if your zip was too long, you can also cut it once you've attached the zip to the skirt, so that's also not a problem. So once we've finished pinning our zip in place, we can then start to sew the zip to the skirt. We need to use a zipper foot. So we're using our zipper foot, and we're going to slowly start to sew down the area that we have just pinned. So we're slowly sewing down the side of the skirt, starting with the back stitch. When we get to the bottom, we'll turn and sew up the other side. Pay attention when you get to the area of the waistband, where we've got aligned it up previously, that is in line. Also pay attention prior to that to the pocket opening. That also needs attention, that it's neat and stitched perfectly. Once we've finished stitching our zip in place, we're going to open the zip, and on the left hand side we're going to fold the zipper band down, and inside now the waistband, and the right sides of the waistband are together, and we're going to pin as close to the edge as possible, making sure that the tape of the waistband of the zipper is pulled out. And then using our zipper foot steel, we're going to sew as close to the edge of this line that we've just pinned as possible. And then we will clip away the tape of the zipper that's showing and turn the waistband right side out. So we're repeating again the process on the other side of the zipper, where we're folding down the zipper tape, and then we're going to fold the waistband down, right sides together, and we're going to stitch as close as possible to the edge. And then once we've stitched, we're going to cut away any excess of the tape that's showing, and trim the corner, ready to turn the waistband of this side of the skirt right side out. Now we need to start to pin the back of the waistband. So we're making sure that the overlocked edge is lying flat. And if you want, you could use an iron at this stage to make sure that you press the skirt seam allowances upwards. And we're pinning all along the inside of the waistband, making sure that all of the overlocked edges are covered by our inner waistband. And then we're going to top stitch all along the edge of the waistband. Now we have to overlock our seam at the bottom of the skirt. So we're going to overlock the entire raw edge of the bottom of the skirt. If you don't have an overlocking machine, you could also use a zigzag stitch. And make sure when you're overlocking that the right side of the fabric is facing upwards. Also make sure when you're overlocking and you're going over the seams that have been joined together that they're lying flat as well. Now we're going to press our hem using a ruler or a tape measure for accuracy. We're going to press the whole of the hem of the skirt upwards by 4 centimetres. Having pinned the hem in place, we're ready to sew along the edge following the overlock stitching line. You could also finish with a hand stitch if you prefer. Congratulations, if you've been watching the video and making the skirt with us, you've now completed Ciao Maria, a lovely pleated skirt. Whether you've sewed the pleats down or you've left them open, you can make it over and over again with various fabrics, from lightweight linens or lovely printed cottons to lovely lightweight wools for the winter. You can make any length, so you can make it long or short or knee length. So have fun and happy sewing.